Good afternoon. We're going to start. Thank you. Oh, man, that's more effective than a gavel. Okay, next up, Free Library. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please proceed with your
Okay,
testimony.
all right. Council members and President Clark, I'm Pamela Denby, and I'm chair of the trustee board of the Free Library System. And thank you for giving us time once again this year to talk to you about what we're doing. I know that council members are very concerned about diversity on city boards and agencies, so let me get that out of the way right away. We appoint half of our 22 board members, the mayor does the rest, and we strive for diversity. At the moment we have 36% African American, 9% Hispanic, 9% Asian, 55% women. So we're, I think, doing a lot in that direction. I think we've told you this, adopted a strategic plan in 2012, and it focuses on advancing literacy, guiding learning, inspiring curiosity. We have followed that plan and done a number of amazing things, and we will have a strategic plan fall into place in 2018, which is basically an extension and expansion. We're not going in some entirely new direction. But the things that we have hammered on, because you can't do everything, but the things we have hammered on and I think really accomplished a lot are in areas like supporting reading and writing, nutrition and health literacy. A third of the people who contact the library contact it because they want health information. Job and computer skills, because people can't apply except using a computer for most jobs nowadays, and cultural and civic engagement. We are pretty excited. Before the year's over, we're going to have 5 new libraries back online. You already know about the one at Broad and Moore Street, the South Philadelphia branch, the venture with Children's Hospital. We have 3 others, and we also are going to be opening up momentarily the Blackwell Memorial, which was closed for some really major repairs. The trouble with that is that we still have an awful lot of unanticipated closures because we have these 100-year-old buildings, and regularly the furnaces, the air conditioning, the plumbing, the roofs become so dysfunctional that they're not safe for people to be in. So they get closed, and then you usually can't turn it around and get it reopened in a couple of days. And every time we do that, we see the children's reading scores decline. So it makes us turn away kids. You know, that's the only safe place for them to be after school. That's where they get help with their homework. It's where people have to go to look for jobs. So we really need as much help as we can get in keeping the buildings going and keeping them open. We are really lucky that we have very active friends groups in many neighborhood libraries. In the past, you've seen them show up in issues important to the library, and the business of the condition of the libraries is a serious concern for them, along with the inability to provide new books and other materials. We have almost no budget for materials, and at some point a library without new stuff becomes kind of pointless. And it's also worth noting that, like everybody else, they were being threatened with the elimination of federal programs. This doesn't have to do with the sanctuary city stuff. It's more Institute for Museum and Library Services, that's on the chopping block, and that kept our Grow Your Own, and it also was supporting this Stories Alive program where people who are incarcerated in the county prisons are on a video hookup, and they have a book which they read to their children who's with the remaining parent or whatever at a facility, and they've got the book, the kids got the book, so they can read the book together and talk about it. And it not only is a way of salvaging or increasing the bond with the incarcerated parent, a lot of times it's helping the parent's literacy as well as the child's literacy, because as I told you in my other guys, there's a real literacy problem among the people in the jails. So losing those services are, if that happens, are really going to cut us down below the bone. As you know, we have a very hardworking staff and always have. Again, this year, several of our employees won national awards for innovative programs. We've taken to inviting staffers at all levels to compete for a small amount of money to institute some program they've come up with. And as a result of that, one of the ones that pops to mind is a program for autistic children. And so other employees evaluate these, and we roll them out, and if they work as a pilot program, then we try to expand them beyond that particular branch or office, so that we're looking deeply into our staff to get ideas to move the library forward, since it's not the kind of place it used to be. We are very appreciative of your long-term support of the library. We ask you to certainly support the mayor's proposed budget, and if you find any spare change anywhere, this is a good place to put it.
So I'll just finish up with some brief comments. You know, I have a 4-page testimony, but I promise not to read it. So I'm Siobhan Reardon, President and Director of the Free Library of Philadelphia, and I want to thank President Clark and member of the Council for being here today to hear our testimony. I want to begin by saying that even though Pam talked about the number of closures and the challenges to keeping some of our libraries open, this, for the first time since 2014, the Free Library has been able to offer expanded hours throughout our neighborhood libraries despite extended closures, particularly in 5 of our locations. As Judge Demby mentioned, the Free Library has been focusing its efforts in 5 strategic areas over the last 5 years, that being childhood and family literacy, job seekers, small business entrepreneurs, new Americans, and services to persons with varying abilities. In the childhood literacy arena, we are the backbone agency for the 90-member collaborative known as Read by Fourth, whose goal it is to ensure that all of Philadelphia's school children are reading on grade level by the time they reach 4th grade. During FY2017, the collaborative supported the establishment of book nooks throughout the city's neighborhoods, sent thousands of books home with children for their home library, and connected families and resources to tips and resources on developing early literacy skills in their children. This year, the Free Library instituted a new Sunday literacy tutoring initiative, which takes place in 11 neighborhood libraries, working with students in 1st through 3rd grades who are struggling with reading and supported with one-on-one tutoring with the support of reading specialists. And we have any number of projects in collaboration with the school district, from library card signups to BLAST, which is focused on working with 4th grade teachers and their resources, and with 4th grade teachers and their students on civics and social studies using free library resources. We've been able to host an innovative model of health services at our Parkway Central Library this year. In partnership with the city's Department of Behavioral Health, we've had 2 social workers working with library staff and our customers on issues involving homelessness, accessing social services, and handling behavioral and mental health issues occurring throughout the building. In addition to training our staff on how to deal and cope with challenging issues. This year we added a nurse on site. She happens to be one of the University of Pennsylvania's presidential awardees, and she has been working in tandem with the social workers to ensure our customers are safe and have access to the health resources they need whenever inside our facility or elsewhere. We continue to enhance and expand our programming efforts on behalf of small business and entrepreneurs in the city through the establishment of our new Business Resource and Innovation Center, otherwise known as BRIC. Our services at Parkway Central, and will be hosted at the Tacony Library when it reopens in the fall. These services are designed to help stem the tide of small business closures by better supporting the entrepreneur with programs and networking designed to build stronger business skill sets and alongside expert mentoring. With the opening of the new Community Health and Literacy Center at Broad Morris, the library has taken on the challenge of consumer health information with our partners at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, the City Health Center No. 2, and the University of Pennsylvania School of Public Health, as well as any number of community organizations dedicated to healthy lifestyles and community information. And our Culinary Literacy Center continues to expand its programming to veterans, teens, and new Americans. In fact, our program for new Americans, which is essentially an ESL class using cooking recipes and conversation as learning tools, will be expanded to 4 neighborhood libraries this fall. And then the Culinary Literacy Center will also begin adding adult basic education classes to its roster of programming in the fall. This is essentially to get at this huge literacy issue in the city where over 500,000 people are functionally illiterate. 500,000 adults are functionally illiterate. Finally, we are particularly excited about the comprehensive work on 4 of our neighborhood facilities known as our 21st Century Library Initiative, and which was essentially the precursor to the Rebuild program. The Lillian Marrero, Tacony, Lovett, and Logan libraries will all reopen this fall in fully renovated, expanded, and fully ADA accessible buildings that will have enhanced computer and internet capacity, as well as children, teen, and adult spaces that better reflect the work of the 21st Century Library. We fully believe the results of these renovations reflect well on the library's ability to work well with the council and mayor, as well as the private sector, on managing major renovation projects. And thus, we are excited about the Rebuild initiative and look forward to the renovation of more of our libraries throughout the city. So as you can see, the Free Library has been and will continue to be enthusiastically busy as we strive to meet our mission to advance literacy, guide learning, and inspire curiosity. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to share these accomplishments and aspirations. We remain committed to bringing excellent service to the citizens of Philadelphia, and we could not do it without the support of the members of City Council. And I look forward to working with you in the coming year.
And one more thing, before we close down Lovett, Councilwoman Bass came to a board meeting, and council members are always welcome to attend our board meetings, or to have a tour of any of the older branches or the renovated branches. It's all, just let us know. We'd love to have you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So the first question, how long did it take you to get to work today?
So fortunately, I live over on Pier 5, so I just make a ride up for my usual 10 minutes.
I use those old lady tickets on SEPTA.
A little bit of challenge over there.
No, but I have to tell you, outside my window at the library, it's just insane the amount of noise and honking, and it's not conducive to good library service.
I know we have, I think there's an event tomorrow morning. Councilman Green and Councilwoman Brown, I think, will be there around some solar issues. And
yes, at the library.
I'm concerned about their ability to get to the event and then get back to work at City Council. So it's okay. It's manageable.
I highly recommend them staying overnight at on Columbus Boulevard.
That's cool. Had a couple of questions. One you touched on a little bit in your detail. It shows a $542,000 increase in grants revenue fund, and this is essentially to provide appropriation power for hoped-for increases from the state. The uncertainty of that is clearly the case. We just don't know what's going to happen. Well, what state grants is the library hoping to obtain from the state?
During the coming year?
Yeah, as it relates to this increase in appropriations.
So the library typically receives about $4.5 million, more than that, about $7.7 million from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to do with support of the central libraries, library materials budgets, the library for the blind and physically handicapped. We also have applied for an additional RACB grant to support additional renovations at our Pascalville and Overbrook Park libraries. I'm trying to think, what else? And we have a Keystone grant, which is $500,000 that supports the work, outdoor work in the 4 neighborhood libraries that are under renovation right now.
Is there one that relates to the $542,000 increase in appropriation?
I have to look at that, Councilman. I'm not specifically looking at that.
Or is that the aggregate?
I think it's an aggregate number.
Requires that you have the need to increase your appropriations power.
So that we have the appropriation powers in case they increase our funds. We do not know what our grants will be for fiscal 18 yet.
Okay, so what this is a hedge, if you will, on the money that we expect coming in from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So we won't know until the state passes its budget what our actual final appropriation is, and so we've put forward a budget that includes additional support for our work.
Only for appropriations power.
Yeah, yes.
And in the event that
Yes.
that grant doesn't materialize, then
Well, that's cuts to the budget, anyway, because
ask.
this is all fundamental to
Yeah,
our core operation.
all right,
Right.
it's time. Okay.
We're a little nervous.
You have also in your 5-year plan, successful work placement pilot program is currently up in Bustleton and in Torresdale section of the city. And I'd like to know what's the scope of potential expansion of that program,
Okay.
given that it's been successful? You can ask your
Why don't
folks
you
to
come
come
on
up
up?
if you want. It's okay. We had that extra chair up there.
I'd rather, yeah. So introduce yourself.
Just state your name for the record.
Sarah Moran. I'm delighted to tell you that we actually are expanding the program. Starting, this is April. We are starting again in next year, beginning in September. It's a program targeted at teenagers who are on the autism spectrum. We found that there are plenty of services for young children, but when you get to be older, when you get to be a teenager, there are fewer services. So we're providing work experience so that hopefully these students will be able to get employment afterwards.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have one last question. Your performance goals show a decreasing number of in-person visits and attendance for teen programs. How do you explain the decline? And I think I may know the answer, but I want to
So
let you give it.
a lot of that has to do with the amount of closures that we've experienced in the 5 neighborhood libraries that are
Okay.
closed. And so that has a big impact. And then when you think about Blackwell Regional Library that's been closed for the whole year, then the 4 neighborhood libraries that have been closed, and then we've had substantial closures in Greater Walney and a number of where we have larger teen programming. So we will be looking to build that capacity back up. That's something that we're intended to focus on. But yeah, the closure of these 5 libraries for an entire year and then some has
So it's
has
more
had a
that
big
than the behavior of teens who increasingly have less interest in actually going in the library where they're actually.
So, that is an
books
interesting, it is,
That's
in
would
the-
have been my thought, that kids
No,
are.
I totally agree with you. And one of the things that we're working with is really growing their conversation with teenagers so that they actually have more say in the kind of programming that we're doing. We're doing a terrific job at Parkway Central. We have a large group of teenagers, over 200, I want to say, on a consistent basis that participate in our Teen Tuesday. And we want to push that out to the neighborhood libraries. And the thing we need to do also is to really focus, like we have children's librarians and like we have adult librarians, we need to create the specialty around teen library, people that are focused on teen services in a much more enhanced way. I recognize the deficit.
Didn't you spend your entire adolescence in the library?
I guess to some degree I'm kind of under oath. So I'm not going to answer that question. All right, thank you. Thank you for that response. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Mr. President, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Great.
Good. So, just a couple of things, questions that I had. I wanted to go back to your testimony in reference to having every student in Philadelphia Public Schools K through 12 with a library card by the end of 2016.
Right.
And how far have we met that goal?
We did. Actually, that's a work that we do fairly consistently with the Dr. Height, it was actually his request that he wanted every student in the district to have a library card. So that was completed in 2016. It was an astounding number. I want to say over 200,000 cards were issued. I'll get that exact number for you.
So that's about 95% about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but now what we do on a regular basis is ensure that all of the kindergartners coming into school have a library, so we begin that process. And so annually, I want to say that we issue about roughly 100,000 new cards every single year.
Now, do we also track, once we get them cards, do we also track their attendance or their
utilization?
Utilization
Yes.
is a better word.
Yes.
Of library services.
Exactly. So, and depending upon the librarian, sometimes the children will hold on to their card, or sometimes the librarian will hold on to their card, so that when they come in for class visits or on their own, that they know that the card is being, in a safe space, so they continue for continuous use as well. Okay. So, we can give you more data on the utilization of these cards as they come through. We'd be happy to do that.
Very good, very good. And also, I did want to make mention of the renovations at Lovett Library. We've had a lot of conversation about Lovett Library and particularly around participation. And so I did want to acknowledge that, well, as you know, our office had been paying a considerable amount of attention to the renovation work that was done at Lovett and at the other sites, and that in the beginning we were not happy with the amount of diversity and inclusion on the work sites, but we did work with the developer Intech and also with your office, and I'm happy to say that the diversity levels have much improved and are starting to look much more like Philadelphia looks, and very much inclusive. So I did want to give you kudos and acknowledgement because I kind of raked you over the coals a little bit.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a good thing.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
I'm good. It's a gorgeous renovation, I have to say.
I'm sorry?
I'm ready to take you through for a walkthrough again.
I'd be happy to go.
Yeah.
I'd be very happy to see. And the last thing I wanted to mention is something that we've discussed also a number of times, which is mobile hotspot lending. And so today, just today, we had asked for the figures in terms of what that would look like for the city of Philadelphia. How far away are we from that budget? And I just received the numbers today, very much on time, but I have not had a chance to actually analyze them and work through them. So what I'd like to do is take a moment to look through those numbers and provide them to my colleagues, and also to maybe have a call back later on and have a further discussion about those numbers.
Happy to, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I was walking by my TV when I heard you say the Lucian E. Blackwell Library is getting ready to open soon, right?
Yes. May
About a
20th.
month,
May 20th. Yep.
May 20th.
May
Thank you.
20th, 24th is scheduled.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Judge. Always a pleasure to see you, and thank you, Sharon.
Sarah.
Exactly. Thank you. Also, so we're grateful for that, and we're going to get to the Georges Library, aren't we?
Yes, we are. So that's one of those, it was, I drove by there just the other day with Sarah, and we still have the drawings of what we would like to see on that fabulous site. And so it is still to recreate that site as a digital learning center, but then somebody else gave me a great idea to make it a 2-story building and put a culinary literacy center on top of the digital learning center. So we've got big ideas for this space. It's as you know, it's almost a $7 million renovation and build out of that space, and so we're working on prioritizing that in the next round of our 21st Century Library Initiative. George is in the next round of our fundraising effort there.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have.
You're welcome, Council Lady. And I knew putting the Lucian Blackwell news in your testimony was going to be a hit with the good councilwoman. You know how to secure 9 votes.
Well, it deserves acknowledgement. It's been closed for an extraordinarily long period of time.
Whoever wrote your testimony, give them props. Man, doesn't seem to be any other questions.
All right.
One quick last question. 6 in Girard,
Yep,
you're familiar with that proposal,
I am.
right?
That's
Is that something that you're supportive of?
Yes, we are supportive as long as we get a great library out of it, and it's that, are we getting a great library out of it is the thing that concerns me about the project in and of itself right now.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to happen, but
Right, well, right now we have a fully functioning library in a very large space, and so if in fact that project continues, I expect a fully functioning library, much like that happened at Broad and Morris.
okay,
So,
great.
okay.
Okay, well, thank you for your
Great.
testimony.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.